and finding. If I can avoid, if I have to fine, okay, I haven't been forced to filter yet, and maybe that will happen, but I'm still firmly believing that. And here's the other main question that we face at this point is, are these local beverages, or are they beverages that you are somehow obliged to prepare to be shipped around the world?
Mm-hmm.
Is it my obligation to try and make something that you should be able to walk into my shop and buy and take home that night and drink and have it be delicious? Or is it my obligation to make something that you can ship to your friend in Japan? I don't know. I don't know if I, and furthermore, in the world of internet commentary, is it okay for a person in Japan or Stockholm, Sweden, or Australia to be able to say, this mead is not great, but after somebody shipped it through who knows what conditions to them 8,000 or 10,000 miles away. I don't know. I know that the best Belgian beers I had in Belgium. I know the best German beers I had in Germany, and I'm scarcely willing to render judgment about how good or bad they are unless I'm sitting a few miles from the brewery. And I don't know if it's okay, I don't know what level of obligation any of us has to make something that can survive being shipped around the world and look great. That to me is that's a really hard. It's a lot to lay on somebody, and I don't want to lay it on anybody from Belgium. I love their beers, and if they're not as good as they could be by the time they've been shipped to me here in Michigan,
mm-hmm.
I don't view that as the fault of the brewer.
No, it's it's what it is, and and that's something that when you were talking about that made me think, and this is something we're going to be talking about on the show next week. What are your thoughts on stabilization? I mean, I don't want to drag you into a half-hour-long conversation about it because obviously we can go on for quite a while, but do you do something special to stabilize your meads, and is that something you will talk about?
We don't use any sulfites, and we don't use any sorbate.
Okay, so just make good mead, and it kind of comes together.
Well, we're trying. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. I know they've been using sulfites for many hundreds of years, and that they have proven to improve the stability of beverages. I don't want to use them if I don't have to, and I kind of view the whole situation as, okay, would I eat a pile of that if you put it on my plate?
Yeah, good point.
If you gave me a shot glass full of honey, I would try and do my best to get that down. If you gave me a bowl full of any of the fruits that I put in my meads, I might need to pour that shot glass of honey over them before I could eat them, like the black currants, for example. But I would be happy to eat them, and the water that I put in my mead, I would be happy to drink right out of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gave me a pile of sulfites, I don't know if I would want to eat that. If you gave me a pile of sorbate, I don't think I would want to eat that. That's why that's the way we're lucky because the finding agents end up not really being in your mead.
Yeah.
If when you do it, they end up sitting at the bottom of a tank that we rinse down the drain. But I just look at what I put in my mead and what I want to end up in someone else's glass as being things that I want to eat myself.
Sure.
I don't know. That's maybe that's idealistic. I guess it is.
It's your mead. You can be that way if you want to.
Exactly.
Well, that's all. That's what I want.
I don't notice it's slowing your sales down any.
Well, I have a feeling that attitude is probably not bad as far as what most people. Would I give this to Madeline? Would I give this to Amelia? Amelia's not eating any of this stuff yet. But if
not.
would I give it to Madeline? And if I would, then I don't feel bad at all about putting it in someone's glass.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
That's fair.
Yeah, and well, I mean, given that approach that as natural as possible, if you will. Not to go into the world of cliches, but I mean you're going for a well balanced, well constructed mead that isn't fine, isn't commercial or chemically stabilized. So one of the things that I've heard, and we've talked about this a few times in the past, and I've heard this from other people as well, are there fruits that generally speaking you would find to be better for aging versus fruits that are better drinking sooner? This was something that John Bryans had said to me a couple of years ago when I had a bottle of one of his Mel's, and I had saved it, and I brought it back to the Mazer Cup the next year, and he's like, "Oh, dude, man, you got to drink that one soon. I didn't design that to age," and he was right. It was terrible. It completely gone off.
Yeah, and the things that I think work really well for long-term aging are the things with really high acidity that finish with low pHs.
Okay.
And if you, in fact, I can send you a couple of links to some really cool articles. And we can get them. You can get them up on GotMead.
I would love to.
I think one of the reasons that Black Agnes works so well and will probably age just beautifully is that the amount of acid in black currants is just raging.
Yeah.
And for that matter, if you compare the amount of acidity that's in, like, for example, raspberries, it's just as high as it is in lemons. They're as acidic as lemons are.
They are, yeah.
People don't think of it that way because they have a much higher sugar level, but so the fruits
you get one
that
that eats through a rubber stopcock like it did on mine. You know how much acid they have in them.
Yeah,
I lost
absolutely.
a whole batch to it because they ate through a rubber stopper.
Precisely. And so those fruits are going to age well because the mead is going to finish with a high level of acidity and a low pH, which means they're going to be pretty stable on their own. And that's one of the things that that's what we're working with. Those are the fruits that we're working with, and those are the flavor profiles that we like. And it's kind of ironic because we've had great luck with our apple. I've had apple that we've done with spontaneous fermentation and just really low maintenance. It's really low maintenance mead on the back end. It's not low maintenance while you're growing. Spraying and picking the apples. It's not. It is low maintenance once you've got the actual honey and apple juice, apple cider mixed together. From that point on, it becomes much more of a sit and wait thing. But those meads are, they're not intended to be 10 or 15-year meads to the extent that the high acid meads like HOD and Agnes and raspberry and the statement are. The stuff that's got lower acidity levels is going to be intended to drink up. I think some traditionals, because they can end up with really low pHs at the end of their aging or at the end of their fermentations, will go for a ways as well. But I really don't think they're going to have the longevity that some of the high acid fruit meads are going to have. So. Things like we did a leatherwood, and we've done a heather. I think those meads are going to be great for probably 4, 6, and maybe 10 years. Mm-hmm. I think some of the high acid meads are going to be great for 10, 12, 15 years.
Well, the HOD that you sold to me was at the time that you sold it to me several years old.
Yeah.
And I've been sitting on it since then. That was 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm very excited to. I'm really excited to taste it, and at the same time going, no, if I have to open it, then it'll be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. I've got a couple that are. I find also the sugar level seems to make a bit of a difference with how well it ages as well for me. I find the sweeter ones tend to age a little bit better.
I agree.
But yeah, I've got one that's like, I think I used something like 18 pounds of fruit for a 2.5 gallon batch, and that's one of my very favorite batches. I guard it jealously. It's kind of my equivalent to your Heart of Darkness, and I've had other people taste it, and everybody really, really likes it, but I'm hiding it.
Wait, is that the maple?
No, this is the cleaning up the freezer, the first one.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to pull another one of those too. I'm out of room. I'm starting to overload the fridge freezer too. So, Ken, you use a lot of fruit in your meads. Do you use pectinase for all of them, or some of them, or none of them?
None of them.
Really? Okay.
None of them. And that may be, one of the things that's causing some potential fruit solid retention. But no, I'm not a huge fan of enzyme use in general. I think if I need more fruit flavor, I'll just use more fruit.
Okay.
So you don't have problems with pectic haze or anything like that?
No, the stuff that we would have issues with, pectic haze on, the apples, for example. We just age them. We have the 2014 and the 2015 apple sitting in storage right now, and they're the 2014's clear as a bell. The 2015 is getting there, and our attitude is we'll let the time take care of that. And interestingly, berry meads and cherry meads have had a great history of being willing to drop out for us. We've had great luck with those meads being willing to clarify themselves. There's only been a handful of instances in which we've had to use, even, like I said, a fining agent.
Cherries are good at that. I mean, I had one that was a little stubborn. That was the one I threw the handful of the Malab into.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only did that give it that sort of nutty character that was my cherry pie, but for whatever reason, sucker just dropped clear in like 48 hours after I did that, because I just mashed them up. They were already chunks, because they're used as a salad spice in Iran and Iraq, and I took they're just little chunked up pieces of denatured cherry pits, and I just kind of mashed them with my mortar and pestle and just kind of shoveled them in there and let them sink to the bottom. And yeah, I don't know if they had anything to do with it dropping clear, but it was within 2 days of that, it dropped clear.
It's possible, because what happens is the way a fining agent works is the little particles that are causing the haze become attracted to and stick to the bigger particles that you just added in. So it's possible. And, I've also had it happen where, it was almost clear. Okay, finally bottle it. Then it dropped clear.
Then it drops clear, yeah.
All it needed was a little
pile of smudge at the bottom of your bottle.
Exactly. It just needed a little bit more agitation. So you never know exactly what's going to cause it to drop clear.
Yeah.
Ken, have you tried anything with banana yet?
I've had my favorite banana mead is Strawbanana Cabana, which is Kurt Stock's strawberry banana mead. It's
oh my God, I gotta get a bottle of that.
It's spectacular. It's just spectacular.
Oh,
and I'm almost
going to have to devil Kurt now.
oh yeah,
Kurt, I want a bottle of that.
The guy's really spectacular. He's a tremendous mead maker, and I'm almost intimidated to the point where I don't even want to try it, because there's probably no way I can do anything better than what he's done. So I would really love and in fact, I've kind of hinted around the edges with Kurt that,